This episode has been brought to you from the DGMS Studios, home of Don't Get Me Started, Lethal and Mully Live, and Surftown. Found at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Hello and welcome to Don't Get Me Started. It's the mother of all podcasts with Keith and Lee. Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Keith.
Keith, it has to be said, you have been a busy boy last week. I'm impressed with what you've done. I just want to tell our listeners that we acquired it's called a Hollyland Lark MS2. They're really tiny microphones. They're top of the range. They're excellent. And Keith thought, new toy. I better test this out. And he even bought a brand new iPhone 15 to put in the receiver, which plugs in the end, and then you're good to go. And the Noosa International Surf Film Festival has finished. Interesting interviews with the Hollyland mic. Also, he's brought back from the dead a Noosa Now episode with a guy named Andrew Trout. And I'm sure Keith will tell you about that. But Mully, how you been? I'm going to get you a T-shirt that says press on it. You've been amazing. You haven't stopped. 4 people.
I'm still not used to starting our podcast with compliments. Thank you very much, Lee. And if you're going to get me a T-shirt with press on it, I'm going to get one for you that says Podmaster.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Now, just to give you a little bit more detail on the Hollyland mics, it means that you can very clearly and professionally take your microphone and a couple of little receivers and do an interview anywhere. It's minimal equipment, high quality, and very, very mobile. And bouncing out of the Noosa International Surf Film Festival, I was able to do 2 interviews with Australian surf writer Tim Baker. Tim has been world famous. He was the former editor of Track Surfing magazine and also Australia Surfing Life magazine. And of course, has written 10 books primarily about surfing. So he was gracious enough to give me a couple of interviews to go on to our podcast called Surftown, which is entirely devoted to interviewing anybody and everybody or profiling anything to do with surfing. It's been very successful. It's taken off, which has been very gratifying. So to sit down with a writer of the quality and caliber of Tim Baker was a real highlight, and very, very interesting interviews. And they will be up on Surftown very, very soon. And as of now, we're about the 24th, 25th of June, 2025. And also the episode that I recorded for Noosa Now was one of very surprising content. It was interviewing a fellow called Andrew Trout, who lives here in Noosa, and he's very well known in triathlete circles as a triathlete.
Now, I've had the great pleasure of editing them, and they are sensational. I'd highly recommend you listen to them. Andrew Trout, what a dude. What an Ironman. What an Ultraman. Was incredible. Tim Baker, motivational. It was incredible to listen to. Very honoured to be part of it. But Keith, 10 out of 10, you did well.
Well, thanks, Lee. And I believe they were inspirational as well. And one of the thrills for me personally is that when you talk to these people who have done something significant, I mean, they don't have to kind of speak to you to try and pump you up with positive thinking or to try and inspire you. They simply are very real people who tell you what they're doing in their life or what they have done, and in some cases overcoming considerable obstacles. And you cannot help but first of all respect them, and then also feel some inspiration to go out there and push through. Well, in my case, I don't have great physical limitations, but I can be pretty lazy. Think, I just stick in my comfort zone. But when you hear people, when you listen to people like that in an interview and they're telling you what they have done, it's like, I'm going to get moving.
But it's been great that it's been out on location where they are. Here, it's a much better environment. The sound, the quality is really good. But I was so impressed with the Hollylands.
The quality is good. I mean, you can't beat the studio where we are now because it's got its own atmosphere and all the equipment is here, and it's just a thrill to put the headphones on and speak into the microphone. But the quality of the Hollyland receivers that you plug into your phone and do it via Bluetooth and then send it back into the studio to be processed and edited is very, very good. I'm pretty thrilled. I'm pretty inspired by the accessibility and the mobility of minimal recording equipment. I've got a few others lined up.
Dare I say we're starting to look a little bit professional?
Dare, indeed.
Dare.
We've been telling everybody that we're not experts in this thing, but what I would say is, let me just jump in a bit. I called Lee the podmaster because he's the tech guy who's put the studio together. We've got 5 large monitor screens, 2 control mixing gadgets, God knows how many cameras. We've got a teleprompter. We've got all sorts of things here, leads going everywhere, which you can't really notice because Lee has laid the studio out very, very well. We've had one guest in here for Surftown who has a 20-year history in media, and he was very impressed with the studio. So I have to give full credit to Lee here for the studio. It's just fantastic. And we love coming here. Lee is professional in his approach. He has the knack and the aptitude for all the gadgets, as I call them. And so in that sense, I think you are very professional, Lee.
That's very kind, Keith. The thing is about this, I've enjoyed every last moment. The process to get it done, the advice that I got mainly from a lot of people but YouTube is incredible. I thought it was very complicated, but it's really not that complicated. And when it does work, I go, woohoo! It works. I couldn't believe it because it normally goes, what's happening? It's not on, or there's something wrong with it. But I've enjoyed it, and the aesthetics of the studio I really like because that's what I do anyway. So tie those two together, get a co-host like yourself. It's a match made in heaven.
All those compliments. Geez, I'm still not used to it. In case some people don't know, when we first started podcasting, Lee used to always give me these little jabs about my attire and more or less allude to the fact that I like pink feather boas and tutus, which of course is being the kind of guy that I am. I didn't take to that kindly. And then all of a sudden, after 20 episodes of introducing me that way, all of a sudden he's being complimentary, and I'm still not quite used to it.
I still like your stage name, Tatiana.
Oh, bull dust.
Love that.
I nearly swore then. Did you?
Yeah, I was about to say, carry on.
Did you?
Did you hear King of the World?
This morning, these two countries have been fighting for so long. What did he say? They don't know what the F they're doing. And I thought, there you go, diplomacy at its finest quality.
Well, that's projection. He doesn't know what the F he's doing.
Look, he might be right, and he might have good grounds to be angry.
I don't want Trump
like
and right in the same sentence.
You don't express it that way. But I tell you what, it really gave me a great start to the day. I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't believe it. And I'm texting everybody, have a listen to this, have a listen to this. Because when you're in charge of a country, you're a president or prime minister, or even if you go down the next level to a diplomatic status of some sort, foreign minister, or are you in charge of dealing with other countries in trade, diplomatic language is very important. What you say in that realm, every single word carries great weight. So you have to be very, very careful. And that's why when you often hear the leaders of countries and their ministers on television, they often speak in words that are quite generic, and you think, oh, come on, man, be real. But every other country listens carefully to what the top leaders say. It's very, very important. So here's this rogue who just gets out there and goes, they don't know what the F they're bloody doing.
Yeah.
It's
it
like,
just shows you what he is, mate. He was used by Bibi Netanyahu. He was flattered by him. Only you can do this, and got carried away with himself. Flattery. And they all know it. Putin knows it. Xi knows it. You got to flatter the guy, and then he's putty in your hands. He's after a Nobel Peace Prize. Anyway, Keith, let's not get into politics. Now, what I want to get into, which is far better, England beat India in the first test. Can you believe that? By 5 wickets in the UK.
This is a test of cricket. And for all those people who are living in non-cricketing countries around the world, cricket tests, it means a competition between the national teams of the two countries that are competing. So in this case, it's England versus India in the game of cricket. Now, for both of those countries, cricket is almost like a secular religion, to the point in India where they're absolutely fanatical about it. So for England, which over the last few years, I'm sorry to say because Lee is English, in case you didn't know, folks, the English team hasn't been going that well. And the Indian team has been floating along right up the top of the tree. So over the last few years, so for England to beat them, and comprehensively in this case, was really quite something.
Well, it was a run chase, which is really good, 353, and it was just sensational. A lot of runs were scored, a few hundreds were there. This is cricket at its best. And even if England had lost lost, the game still would be a great game. So it's the competition that's there. On a different note, you and I have been talking about podcasting a lot and other people that podcast, and we've sort of put our eye over various podcasts and came up with a few, which is like, how can you present yourself in such a way that you're gaining so many downloads where we think it's not that great? So are we competing against ourselves, or are we competing against others? And my question to you, the topic this week, is competition healthy?
I hope that you're enjoying the podcasts and the content that we're bringing to you each week. I want to take a moment to invite you to support the show. Your contributions help us continue creating high-quality episodes, bringing in exciting guests and exploring the topics you love. Every bit helps, whether it's a small donation or signing up for our Patreon account. By supporting us, you're not just helping keeping the lights on, you're becoming part of our community and helping us grow. To show our appreciation, we offer exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more for our supporters. So if you love what we do and you want to see us thrive, please consider signing up at buzzsprout.com/don't get me started. Support the show. Thank you for being part of our journey, and let's keep the conversation going.
The immediate thought that comes to mind is yes and no, actually, 50. I think it is and it isn't. Of course, it's one of those dynamics that has to be qualified, isn't it? But primarily, I would say 55, yes, it is. 45, it isn't.
Right. So I'm with you on that. So I think it's healthy and unhealthy, but well managed when it can drive innovation. It can improve your performance, your personal growth. But however, if it becomes excessive or you're focused on winning at all costs like you, Mully, it can lead to negative consequences, which brings on stress, damaged relationship and unethical behaviour, which you've shown a few times, Keith.
God, it didn't take long to disintegrate, did it? First of all, he's complimenting me, and now he's putting these labels on me. Well, look, just for the record, let me speak on behalf of myself. If you're going to attack me like that, I have been a surfer all my life, and one of the reasons I like surfing is that it's an individual sport. You don't have to rely on anybody else. I've played tennis, and again, you have to rely on your own abilities. Now, I have played rugby league and rugby union. I played for clubs and I played 4 seasons. One time when I was playing rugby union, I was living in New Zealand, and I played for the Spotswood College Old Boys, believe it or not.
Big call out for you fellas, he's still here.
I'm not sure if they're still going, but it was so much fun. Anyway, we played university at this particular game, and it was fantastic. Both teams went really hard and played as best they could, and they beat us by about 5 points, I think. But it was such a quality game because everybody put in the best that they could. Nobody was playing social and mucking around. And when the whistle was blown, I went to the referee and I said, could you give us another 20 minutes? Not that we would get the chance to beat these guys in the extra time, but to keep the game going because it was so enjoyable. And I remember that, and I thought, well, why did I do that? And I thought, well, I really like when you are being competitive to win so that it will bring out the quality of the sport or whatever you're engaged in.
So healthy competition, that's what you're saying.
It is. It's not for winning in its own self.
It encourages innovation and efficiency. Individuals are motivated to improve their game, your skill. You wanted another 20 minutes. It was that. You're promoting your personal growth.
Yes, and let me just keep it going, talk a little bit about that season of rugby union in New Zealand. We played one game where we thrashed the other guys. We would have been a good 20-odd points in front. And the guys on my team started to get sloppy and just throwing the ball around and just running and just not caring. And I was really, really pissed off. I just wanted to walk off. I thought, I don't want to play at a substandard where nobody really cares. You're here with a goal. You're here to go for that. And, of course, that brings out the best. And when they were sloppy, I didn't want a part of it.
No, but that's a negative. That's the unhealthy side of it, which I want to get into later. The healthy side of it, you were promoting that. You were living it. And your teamwork, when competition is healthy, it encourages team to work together to achieve shared goals,
Yes.
which they were in the beginning. They realised that, we've got this in the bag. Now we're going to piss around. It's unprofessional and unhealthy.
Yeah. Well, I thought, what's the point of being out here?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not here to win. I'm here to play and
You're
enjoy.
not there to win. You just sit there to play.
Well, you have to, every time you're in a competitive sport of some sort, or any sport really, you are aiming to win or either to be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
Or to get the most
There's
out
winners and losers.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's quite healthy in the sense that you're aiming at something, because when you play a sport, you're aiming to win. And if you put in your best effort to get there, you're going to find the journey along the line, whether you win or lose, has been very, very gratifying because, one, you might have learned some things about yourself. One, you might have achieved some things that you didn't know that you can do. And you might actually do win and unexpectedly bask in the glory that you weren't planning to.
So you're reading my mind. So it provides feedback and motivation. It can provide valuable feedback on performance.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, the other thing, it teaches valuable life lessons, sportsmanship, handling both wins and losses, as we were talking about, and respecting opponents. They're the healthy side of it. And obviously, you had a very healthy input to sport. Where did it go wrong between you and I then?
Well, we started off with you saying that I have a desire to dress in pink. If our
listeners only knew the truth.
No, but like I've said many times in my own defence, you're saying that to a guy who likes Clint Eastwood movies.
You see, was he 93 a few weeks ago, Clint?
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, God bless him. I hope he's still got another couple of movies in him. Actually, I found that he made fame through the lone hero that rides into town on his horse and defeats all the bad guys and then he disappears, without any great reward. The American dream of the individual who overcomes the odds, and Jack Reacher is the same.
Yeah.
They're self-made men. They're achievers. And he moved out of that stereotype into some very, very good movies. Like one of my favourite movies is Gran Torino. I've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. And he's made some terrific movies in the latter half of his career. And I hope he's got a few more in him.
Yeah, I like the Dirty Harry movies, obviously. Also, the other one, which was very underrated, is called Play Misty for Me, where he's a DJ. Very well done. The female counterpart was excellent. But that was in the 70s. But check it out. Watch them. Have some fun.
I will. 94. Well, happy birthday, Clint.
Yeah, 93, 94. Not exactly. So I put it up on my Facebook to celebrate his birthday. He's always been an idol of mine. And a friend of mine went over to California and was driving down the coast, and they decided to pop into Carmel. And they went into a pub, and there was Clint.
On the piano, I bet.
No. There was Clint with a group of friends. They must have just obviously played golf, he was saying. And I've gone, oh, wow. I said, did you go over and shake his hand or say hi? He goes, oh, no, I didn't want to disturb him. I've gone, you idiot. even, I would have loved it if I'd have gone over to him and just said, oh, Mr. Eastwood, big fan, and I'd put my hand out and he'd go, piss off, kid. I would go, you know what happened? I saw Clint Eastwood, he told me to piss off.
It's worth it, isn't it?
It's worth it. And he didn't do anything. That's a chance in a lifetime. You can't let it go.
I have a friend in Sydney who does that. He's got a lot of front. His line is exactly pretty much the same as what you said. He walks up to them, thrusts his hand in front of them and
Big
said,
fan.
Yeah, says, I'm a big fan, love your work.
Yeah, yeah.
If he gets the handshake, he gives it and then he walks away. He always says, love your work. Yeah, fancy letting Clint Eastwood go.
Amazing. Not that I would have followed him out to the toilet, but I would have waited for an opportunity where he's not talking or where you could just get in. And even if he goes like get lost or whatever, best still, you go, oh, nice to meet you and shake your hand. What a buzz.
Yeah, and have your phone ready just in case.
Of course you would.
Selfie, Clint, click.
Yeah, of course you would. What an opportunity lost. Let's get back to what we were saying. So
we're off track again.
We are. So the healthy side, we've talked about the healthy side of competition, but we haven't spoke about the unhealthy side.
Oh, it's a trap.
It is a trap. One I've got here, it can lead to negativity and conflict when competition becomes overly aggressive or you focus on winning on all costs. It can create a toxic environment with negative emotions and impersonal conflict, which we all do. Bad sport, sore loser.
Who loses when that happens?
The individual.
Yeah, because they are taking a negative dimension within their self, their own spirit, their inner person, aren't they?
Well,
that's toxic.
They haven't grown up. They don't realise. The other one...
Excuse me, but you can be disappointed or even really pissed off that you've lost. But that's okay. Just go out, kick the cat or whatever, and then get it out of your system and then get back to normal.
But this is about playing by the rules. You have a referee there to monitor the game and manage the game. And if you didn't play well, that's down to you. I love boxing. I've watched boxing from a child, from Muhammad Ali to Joe Frazier, all the way through the years. Now, we've got a fight coming up next month, Usyk versus Daniel Dubois, right? Now, they fought before. Usyk is an incredible individual. He's Ukrainian. He's got a boxing mind. He's the man. He beat Joshua, he beat Fury. He's done all of that. He doesn't knock people out. He's got a boxing brain. Dubois is another. He's 26. He's a young guy. He beat Anthony Joshua. Daniel Dubois is in his prime. 26. He's a big fella.
What country is he from?
UK. So he's fought Usyk, and Usyk knocked him down, tired him out. And now there was an incident that happened in that boxing match where they said, that was a low shot below the belt. And
from whom?
From Dubois to Usyk. And Usyk came back and fell down. Dubois thought, I've got this. This is mine. But it showed that it was below the belt, as they say. But he keeps going on about that. That's the point I'm trying to make, Dubois. I beat you first time. No, Daniel, you didn't. It was a low blow. Move on. So he goes, this time I'm going to do this, this and this. It's going to be an interesting fight because now he can't go on about, I won it first time. He's got to meet this guy in the ring again.
This is terrific to hear, Lee, because there's feeling between these two guys and there's past history. So these guys aren't just really for maybe a title or whatever, or a belt, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's for undisputed world champion heavyweight.
So they're fighting for that, but also because of the past history, there's a lot of feeling in this. You know?
Dubois, when you have the face-off between any sport, Dubois thinks he's got something that he's already won, and he didn't. If you watch the fight, he did okay, but you watch Usyk, he's a master. He can step up gears. He can go 12 rounds and still produce the goods as in the first round. He is a absolute incredible boxer.
Sounds like it. So Usyk has got a little bit of motivation to go for this one besides the title. I've got to set the record right.
Well, he's beaten everybody. He hasn't lost a boxing match. I'm chomping at the bit. I can't wait. I'm actually gonna, for the first time ever, pay to view it.
I watched a documentary recently concerning Jimmy Connors and his great rivalry in tennis against McEnroe. Now, they're two very different characters, but both full of dynamic, explosive will.
They're both lefties, aren't they?
That I don't know, but McEnroe came from a very privileged New York wealthy background, and Connors come from some town out in the middle of nowhere, America, working class. So there was this rivalry, the class rivalry between them, but both of them had this fierce determination to be brilliant tennis players and to beat the other. And their matches were not only high quality sportsmen, the game being played, but there was theatre because they gave no quarter. So that competition brought out something terrific. And I'm hearing you talking about this coming boxing match. I'm thinking, man, I want to watch that too, because I think this is going to be more than just a title fight.
Oh, you should. You really should. Come round here, watch it with me.
I will.
It'll be, I don't know, might be early morning.
How early?
I don't know, 6 o'clock in the morning maybe.
No problem. If it was 2 o'clock, you'd have a little red wine.
Wouldn't be that.
That'll be coffee then, 6
the
o'clock.
UK. Anyway, get back to where we were saying, we're doing it again. So also, it can increase your stress and anxiety, which I think Daniel Dubois has. I think he's anxious about this boxing match because he has been telling everybody he had won last time, even though he was knocked down. He was beaten. And at the end of the boxing match, Usyk went up to him and said, look, you're a young guy. You can go forward with this. He was giving him all this motivational talk. And Dubois has turned it around and said, he was talking to me like I was a boy. Like, come on.
Well,
you're in the ring with one of the greats.
And he's been gracious to you.
So gracious. He is such a nice dude.
He might not be in this rematch.
No, he always approached it the same way. He doesn't go on to you or he puts you down. He goes, he's a good boxer. He's a strong young man. Where Daniel Dubois said, I'm going to take him. He spoke down to me last time. I already won that bout. Nah. Saying, great, let's bring it on.
This is really interesting. Is this Ukrainian Usyk, is he also a politician?
No.
Okay.
It can increase your stress and anxiety. And that's what I think happens to a lot of us in an unhealthy competition.
Sometimes competition is motivated by covetousness. We want to have what the other person has, not necessarily their own possession, but if they've got, say, a nice new car, then I want a new car. Or they've got a swimming pool in their backyard, I want this. Or they've had a holiday, but I want. And isn't it one of the 7 deadly sins?
It is.
Covetousness?
Yeah.
Thou shalt not covet. One of the commandments, isn't it?
The 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments,
Yeah.
thou shalt not covet.
Well, you would know. You're the script man, mate.
Well, let's go with commandments. I haven't read the Bible for a while for all you nice Christian folk out there. Anyway, I was talking to a friend just the other day, actually, and he said he's going to keep praying for me. And I said, don't. I said,
I'm way beyond that, you said.
There's too many nice things been happening. Stop it. I'm not used to it. That's good advice, whatever you think about all of that. Don't covet because it's going to do you damage. It's going to make you toxic within yourself, and it's going to make you lay there at night dreaming how you can beat the other person or get what you not really are worthy of.
And it can hinder your performance
Absolutely.
as well, which I think it will do to an extent. And finally, which I've got down here, it just encourages unethical behaviour, where in some areas you might cheat or revert to unethical tactics to gain an advantage, which again is not good. And we see it. We see it more and more, I think, with either drug taking or there's some form that they shouldn't have done this and they put that into place. And it's bad for the sport. It's bad for competition. So the two sides, healthy, unhealthy.
I've heard people say that they're glad that somebody else went down or somebody else lost. And I thought, man, what is wrong with you? You don't have to take any pleasure out of the fact that somebody else has lost or has been disadvantaged. How's it helping you? In fact, I've heard one guy say that at a particular time where the person he was glad about who missed out on something had absolutely nothing to do with him. And I thought, man, what sort of psyche do you have in your little tiny brain that you're taking pleasure out of somebody else's misfortune? So what is that about? A small ego, lack of self-esteem, or are you just a nasty bastard who needs to go and get your head straightened out?
All the above.
Probably. Because he wasn't a nice guy.
I mean, competition can be a positive force when it's balanced and focused on self-improvement and mutual respect. That's the thing. Mutual respect for one another. You're both in that sport together. You haven't just walked off the street and decided, I'll do this. You put time, you put effort in, you've got to the top of your game. People have acknowledged that. And there you are. You're ready to compete like two gladiators. Mm-hmm. And then you do it. And then the best person wins.
So I was just thinking, listening to you there, and my thoughts are jumping all over the place, but who likes to lose? Not many people.
No.
Particularly in life, competition can propel you to achieve things for yourself rather than letting life beat you around so that you, I hate this word, but it's so true, you're a loser to some degree.
Well, that's what. Oh no, I won't start.
But I would never use that word years ago, but now I do because there are losers in our competitive consumerist society. If you lose, you don't get respect and you don't feel good about it yourself. You get brushed aside off. Oh, that guy's a loser, or that guy's easy.
I think competition can and does improve performance and also happiness when you compete. I've always loved it, being in sport and competing. I feel very happy. I feel very happy if I win, but I'm glad that I took part. And I think you're better off that you're trying to win rather trying not to lose.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes,
so
yes.
I think you're better off trying to win than trying not to lose. That's the difference I sort of can take from it. If the motivation's low, it's best just to go out there to participate.
If the motivation is low, then that can produce sloppiness.
Yeah.
And that can produce substandard results.
All the time.
Or, worse still, not your best. Because let's face it, life in a sense is competitive because you've got to go out and overcome things to bring in income, to raise your family or achieve whatever goals you might have, whatever you need income for, because we live in a society where we have to have those things. So the best is, your best is what you should be aiming for. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have and win at all costs. But if you're not aiming for the best in whatever you do for yourself, you're shortchanging yourself.
We are. Now, we've been talking about sport, but what about being competitive in a work environment?
I think it's, but only if you're competing against yourself to be the best you can be.
Yeah.
If you can take some satisfaction, yes, I have beaten colleague. Compete against yourself to do whatever you can as best you can, I think.
Yeah, and I think compete at work can become more effective, like you're saying, at managing your own performance, and then maybe that might influence others.
Definitely.
As well. So work environment, you're closed in, sport, you're out, and it's more or less a team. I grew up watching darts where they would be smoking their heads off, they'd be drinking pints of beer, and you'd be thinking, how can they perform at that level? Snooker was the same. I remember, I don't know whether a lot of people remember Bill Werbenek. He was a Canadian snooker player. Big fella. He would smoke his head off and drink at least 7 pints. And you're seeing it on TV. You're seeing him smoking and drinking. And Alex Hurricane Higgins looked like he was on speed, smoking, drinking, and they still performed. You would never ever have that today.
Was this live on television?
I was watching it, mate, on TV. Bill Werbenek taking the pints of beer.
This is in England.
In England, in the UK. This was going back, at least 50 plus years ago.
You're that old?
I'm that old, mate. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
Can you believe it?
I can't even. Well, I can see a couple of frown lines on your forehead, but there's no age wrinkles
mate, if
anywhere.
I take my makeup off, you're going to see it. If I take my wig off, you'll see it. No, but anyway, let's get back to what we were saying. And we're coming to the end. And I've loved this again. It's going to go on and on and on. But unfortunately, Keith, I've got to give you the last word.
He says that, folks, but he loves me dearly, I know. No unfortunate giving to me at all. He's very, very happy too because...
Very happy.
Because he's been talking a lot and he wants to rest his old vocal cords.
Ease up, fella. Just because you've got your Johnny Cash T-shirt on, Ring of Fire, we won't get into that.
Folsom Prison, I hate every inch of you. I love Johnny Cash, the outlaw. Not a big fan of his country stuff so much, and I love what he did with Dylan. Some of those, he didn't do enough songs with Dylan, but the ones that he recorded with him, I think, are terrific. They're gold. They're pretty hard to get. You can find them on YouTube. So anyway, Lee, yes, I've enjoyed this chat too. As always, you always bring out a good conversation. So the art of conversation is not dead with you,
Thank
my
goodness.
man. And I look forward to our weekly opportunities to talk with you via our podcast platform. And of course, we also are thrilled that we have people listening to us. And so to all of you who we love dearly as well, we say thanks for listening, and please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And so until next time, it's hooroo from me.
Hold on, Mully. I forgot to mention it. Just came across me
There's
now.
more.
This is our 75th Don't Get Me Started episode. Well done, Keith. We're on 75.
Well done, Lee, you. And now I think you told me when we started out doing this that a lot, or the majority of people who start podcasting don't get past their third.
Their 8th podcast they don't get past. We're on 75. So well done, Keith. Well done, us.
Well done, us. You know, like I've said many times, we're not experts, and probably that's why we can talk so much about whatever's on our minds, because we just let it rip and whatever comes out is fine.
Last thing I want to say, doing podcasts is competitive for us, but the beauty of it, it's good for our mental health.
It is.
Happy 75th, brother.
Yeah, you too, Lee. You truly are the podmaster and you bring the best out in me. So until next time, mate, I'll see you back here in the studio.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Don't Get Me Started with Keith and Lee. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. To see more of Don't Get Me Started, jump onto our socials, follow us on Instagram at Lethal and Mully, Facebook and LinkedIn. If you would like to be a part of the show, email us on don'tgetmestarted2024@gmail.com. Until next time.